Poll to order for July 12th, 2021. The clerk will call the roll, please.
Brereton,
Here.
Flurry,
Present.
Frank. Here. Freeman,
Here.
McGee,
Here.
Mahal,
Here.
Porter,
Here.
Prather,
Here.
Snow,
Here.
Stevens,
Here.
10 present.
Okay, thank you. Under public comment, we have John Albertini. Yeah, come on up, John. Nice to see you again.
Hello, my name's John Albertini. As if you remember, I live at 506 Park Avenue in Belvedere. I'll make this brief. I just wanted to say that it was very kind of this attorney to take time and get this ordinance brought up and brought to the board to be voted on. It was also very kind for the board to take time and vote it in. I appreciate it. All the people I represent from Four Seasons also sent me to say thank you. They appreciate everything you've done for them. They have circumvented the part about charging for water without meters for now, but in the future, it will be something good for us. It will, when the meters are in, we will be charged only for the water that's ours, not everybody's and not the parks. So everything you did will help, and I wanted you people to know that what you did help. And I again wanted to thank you on behalf of all the people I represented Four Seasons. Thank you again.
Thank you, John. Thank you for taking the time to come back up here. And a lot of times we never hear that. We only hear the
Understand.
the unhappiness, but thank you so much. I appreciate you coming back.
It's a pleasure to be at this meeting, and you'll see more of me.
Good.
So,
Well, that's good.
okay, you have a good day.
You too, thank you. And then also, I had requested, when I was a alderman back in the 90s, we had a IML handbook. And I think every alderman should have and every alderwoman should have a IML handbook. You can reference it. I don't know if you did have one or not, maybe not a current one. But anyhow, I think it is important. You can reference it, so there it is on your desk tonight. Public forum, we have none. Reports of officers, boards, and special committees. Item number 1, Public Works, unfinished business. We have the stormwater utility implementation phasing. We had tabled that, and Brent Anderson he's not here this evening. Danny's here. No offense, Danny, but I know Brent had wanted to be here, so I would like to leave this on the table until Brent comes back here next Monday, or the following Monday, I guess. Mm-hmm. Unless there's a burning desire for the council to go ahead and address this, but if not, we'll go ahead and wait. Thank you. Public Works, new business, item 2A. You have any update, Danny?
Yeah. Push your microphone button.
I'm not used to this. Can you hear me? Is it good? Cherry Valley has signed the agreement. I think they're just waiting the council to approve this, so we can go ahead and proceed with this project. It's part of our overlay project that we're out to bid, and that is bid on the 20th of this month.
Okay. So, item B is the intergovernmental agreement between the Village of Cherry Valley and the City of Belvedere for the overlay of the intersection of Newburgh Road and Shaw Road. Do we have a motion to that effect? Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Porter. Any questions, any comments, any concerns? Oh, Alderwoman Freeman.
Thank you, Mayor. So Danny, how does the split work once the bids come in? Who decides? We just take the lowest bid, and then how does the split work?
I can cover that one, unless you know the answer, Danny. I actually drafted the agreement.
Thank you.
Low bid is, the bidding is done by the city, so we're the ones that choose everything on the project, including probably the low bidder. As far as the split goes, we broke it down by just the number of feet of roadway within each jurisdiction. So Cherry Valley's paying for whatever's in their jurisdiction, and we're paying for whatever's in our jurisdiction. And the reason we're doing this is the city has jurisdiction of Shaw Road, as well as Newburgh Road, Shaw Road north of the intersection of Shaw and Newburgh, and Newburgh Road east of the intersection. And because we're doing those two portions of those roads, it made sense to do the intersection at the same time, so Cherry Valley signed on to do it as part of our project.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Then we have, under item C, the resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code. And that's regarding 720 overlay bids. Danny?
No, this is a separate project that we're bidding out this winter to redo Logan.
Oh, okay, I'm mistaken. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Danny? Motion to approve, Alderman Snow, second. Alderwoman Prather. Questions, Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you. So, this, I was confused a little bit because it says it's Logan Avenue from State Street to Illinois, Business Route 20, which you clarified for me, that's actually Belvedere Road right there. And then it says it's for the milling and removal of the curb and gutters, which we all knew about, and the sidewalks, which we all knew about. And then there is storm and sewer removal and installation, and sanitary sewer removal and installation. And you said you're just gonna see what needs to be replaced? We're not upgrading that to a bigger system?
The storm sewer portion, yes, the sanitary would remain the same. We would just update any pipes or manholes that need to be replaced. And it is called out in the plans which ones have. It's all been studied so far.
Okay, so, like, how old is the infrastructure under Logan Avenue, you think?
Oh, old. I don't really know. It's old original stuff.
So probably most all of it needs to be replaced.
Storm sewer, yeah. Sanitary, not so much. There's a lot of different ways you can line pipe, inline manholes. The storm sewer, definitely, you know, there's plenty of stormwater problems in town, and that will be upgraded. And there's quite a bit of storm work with this.
Okay, so then, you know, I want to be clear, that this was already approved under the Chamberlain administration. And there's also, I think we're obligated to contribute $813,848 of local funds. So I don't know if Danny would know, but maybe Sarah or Attorney Drella, where our $813,848 is coming from. Is that from capital or the general fund?
It's capital. I text Brent after you asked me the question. We had $2 million set aside, then we got the grant. And of that, we're using the 800 and, was it 13,000?
Okay, so that was probably already approved in the fiscal year 20.
Yes, it was.
Okay, thank you, Danny.
It was my understanding that that money had been earmarked for this project, and the city was waiting on to be able to move forward with it. We had one individual that did not want to part with some of their property, and it would have been tied up in the courts. We had a chance to meet with that individual, and we came to an agreement, so we were able to move forward. The MFT funds $200,000, and along with the Rebuild Illinois funds, and then the $813,000 when this project was started, which I believe was 2 or 3 years ago, and I think that's where that money was earmarked out of capital funds. So, Alderman Snow.
So, and you may not be able to answer this, Danny, but the water mains, they run in the same right-of-way, or would those need to be replaced? Or again, that'll be an evaluation as you get to it? Because obviously, every winter especially, we wind up with the water main breaks in the streets and things like that. I'm assuming they evaluate that.
There is, I believe, some water main work to be done here, also the water services.
And how does the coordination work with property owners that would be accessing both the water and the sewer? They're all known that this is going to occur and other allotments are made, or just curious?
Yeah, there's actually I got a couple notes on this, and I'm going to start at the top, and maybe I'll address it along the way. The last parcel has been approved, or acquired, as Clint said. ComEd work will start this fall, relocating the poles. The plans are at IDOT now for final approval, and there will be a public informational meeting coming up probably later this summer or this fall. It'll go out to bid this winter, and then construction will start early next spring. Yeah, that's where a lot of the people are going to get their information is at that meeting. And when they get their houses or their front of their street tore up, it's going to be tore up. It's not going to be pleasant.
Okay. We'd also had, the state had sent a mandate to municipalities regarding lead pipe, and I'd spoken about that a little bit previously. So I don't know what that's going to entail after any of the services, if they're going to have to be replaced or addressed. But that's one thing that we don't really know yet. But I guess we'll find out after we get going on it. So.
Yeah, we won't have any way of knowing until we dig them up.
Right. Okay, any other questions? All right, we have the resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code, which is for the .855 of a mile from State Street on Logan Avenue between State Street and Illinois Business Route 20. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Then we have the demolition of the wood frame portion of the Leaf Building, item D, 2D. And just my experience with this building recently, when I came into office, I took a tour of that building from the bottom to the top floor, and that would be the last time that I would go into that building, particularly up off the first floor. I did go in it a second time, and it had gotten even worse. And this video, if anybody hasn't gone through there, the video I think speaks for itself. But maybe we can get the light. Alderman Brereton, would you? Just one of them, maybe, or? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. And then on your, on the memo, there, at the back, you should have a couple pictures as well of what it looks like on the inside at the first floor level of the roof and the subsequent upper floors that have come down with the roof. And with that being said, I'll turn it over to Mr. Anderson regarding this memo. The other Mr. Anderson.
So basically, we have three bids there. Low bid is from Packard Excavating out of Rockford, $304,750. Second bid from Northern Illinois Service Company out of Rockford, $389,452. And third bid, New Berlin Grading out of New Berlin, Wisconsin, $700,000 even. I would recommend approval of the low bid.
Okay, thank you. So do we have a motion then recommend the approval of the proposal from Packard Excavating in the amount of $750 for the demolition of the wood frame portion of the Leith Building? This work will be paid for from capital line item number 41-5-110-7900. Motion by Alderwoman Prather. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Second by Alderman Stevens. Any discussion, any questions, comments? Alderman Porter and then Alderwoman Frank.
Okay, I have kind of a two-part question here. Are we just demolishing the inside part, the roof and the inside part, and leaving the stone wall standing?
It's all coming down. The outside wall will not stand without the ties of the floor joists and everything else holding it all together.
Okay, that was, I guess, my second part of my question. I hate to hear that because I was still hoping we could get that 75-room hotel that they had talked about, that some contractor wanted to come in, because I still think the old-fashioned building like that is a really good thing. But if there's no way to safely tear it down, then I guess it's just, just the roof part of it, then I guess we can't do that.
Yeah, the building's coming down. I mean, you can see by the photos that the building is coming down. And one of the issues that we have with the building, as Mr. Anderson said, the floor joists that tie into the beams, those are what support the outside wall. And you can see in part of that it's just not existent, not only on the top floor, the roof line or the top floor, but all the floors. It's caved in, so it really is unsafe. I probably wouldn't even recommend, we had anybody that went through that would sign a waiver, and I don't think we would do that after being in it, no matter waiver or not, because it's too dangerous. But the building is coming down. It's not a matter of if it's coming down, it is coming down. And hopefully, we can address it. When I first came into office, there was a number that was floated around about $750,000 that it was going to possibly take to, take the building down. For years, they had no investors that were willing to invest in it. And part of the reason why is we had found out that there's asbestos, layers of asbestos fabric that are in each floor for a fireproof protection, and that's in between the floor, the finished floor, and then the 3/4-inch flooring. But that's very, it's got to be taken, it's got to be abated, because when you disturb it, it's the kind of asbestos that you have to have a wet removal, so you can't have it, they won't allow you to go airborne. So as far as anybody that was going to do anything with that building at one time, they would have had to contend with that as well. And I think that probably had a lot to do with why there were no takers on putting a 75-room anything there. But, so I don't know if that answers your question, but, okay. And Alderwoman Frank?
Yeah, I was, excuse me, I was wondering where we're gonna put all the things that are stored, like the snow plows, and we'd have to get those out of there and moved before we
No,
bulldoze?
Actually, we don't have anything stored in that part of the building. We have storage, the street department, Public Works, over in the part that's further east, closer to Dean's. We have that. That building is sound. That part of it, and the police department we have storage, items stored there too. I think there's vehicles in there and what have you, but this is separate from that.
It won't
There's-
affect
yeah,
the integrity of the whole building?
No.
And when are we looking for this to be done?
Well, we would like to take it down before it comes down, and then we end up, having, I think it runs a public risk, a safety risk. We have it cordoned off now, we have it barricaded off, but as you can see by the drone that Chief Heiser had provided for us, that it's not getting any better, it's getting worse. Alderman Snow?
So I'd mentioned to Danny, because I saw him today earlier, that the asbestos is going to be addressed, but obviously, I assume these guys realize how dangerous it is, because I assume they need to abate as much as they can before they bring it down, and then they've got to do more abatement. The next question would be, because I'll get asked, and I'm sure everybody else will, is anything going to be salvaged, the big timbers, or anybody going to have access to that? And because there'll be somebody who A, wants it, or B, wants to know, or wants to grab it and use it for reconstructing or doing something, so.
I'm sure the demolition contractor is gonna salvage the brick and a lot of the wood beams that are not dry rotted and gone. And that would be the person to contact. We would have no control over where that went. Basically, we want to go in there and have a clean job when it's all done. And another thing, like Clint said, we want this to come down in a controlled fashion. We don't want that thing to fall in, because you're gonna have a big flume of dust come from that thing if it does. And if you look at the elevator shaft, you can stand down on Meadow by the steam plant, and every day it looks like it leans a little bit more, that elevator shaft up there, that first part of that video.
Alderman Snow, is that all? Yeah. Okay. Alderwoman Freeman?
Thank you. So, what's the plan for the area to remain, or does that need some work as well, or are we just gonna continue to use that for, our storage?
The existing,
The area to remain.
yeah, that right now will remain storage. We have quite a bit of items in there. That's built like a fortress. That doesn't have any issues with its construction. So that'll be the way it is. It'll maintain, and we'll continue to use it right now as storage. Anything else? Alderman Brereton.
Thank you, Mayor. I had just heard that a number of years ago, I'm not sure about the number, but a gentleman from Ohio had offered to take this building down free of charge as long as he was able to keep the salvage. I just wondered if maybe we had another opportunity like that, or if the asbestos was discovered after that, and that's the difference here.
I believe that's exactly right. At the time, they probably looked at that. I don't think anybody realized that they had asbestos in the floor, between the floors. And there was a group of individuals that had looked at that, and they were going to try and obtain it. And they had an inspection done. And at that time, which was pretty recent, at that time they discovered that there was asbestos in it. And so that changed everything, because you have to do what the EPA guideline says and IEPA, and to take it down. So I think at one time they may have thought about doing that. That might have been many years ago, but more recently than we had realized that I had just found it out, actually, that we had had an abatement issue. And there was a group of individuals that decided that they may have an interest in it, but after they had found that out, they had pretty much, I think that was probably the reason why that also fell through. Probably the one that Alderman Porter's talking about, that interest, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Snow?
And Danny may or not be able to answer this, but do we have any issues with, because we got the brownfield right behind it, does this fall into the brownfield condition, or will we wind up with the concrete slab until somebody decides to do something with it? And I'm assuming that this removal doesn't include the foundation or the slab.
I believe the foundation, there is no slab underneath it. It is, there's a crawl space underneath there, 3 or 4 feet deep if I recall. And all that will be coming out and then it'll be getting filled.
Yeah, I think they're not certain about the depth of the crawl space. I think they believe it runs anywhere from 3 feet to 8 feet, maybe in some spots. But it'll be, everything will be removed, and then eventually we'll have we'll cap it. And Kip?
I believe there are some issues with the property that will have to be addressed. I think the scope of the demo requires them to remove, they're gonna take down about 8 feet, and then they're gonna fill 5 feet and leave a 3-foot hole there. And then they'll have to go through the Brownsfield to figure out how to remediate, get the NFR letter.
Anything else? Okay, hearing none then, we have a recommendation on the 3 proposals. All those in favor? We did have a motion on that, didn't we?
Yeah, and a second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed, thank you. Item 3, there's building, planning, zoning, unfinished business. There is none. Item 4, building, planning, zoning, new business update. Gina?
So as you know, for June, the only cases planning staff had for the city of Belvedere was for the gas station rezoning and special use. For July, there are no Belvedere cases. I do have a case for Poplar Grove, though. Have had several meetings. I expect August to be a very busy month with cases. So as one alderman said, it was the Gina show on the agenda tonight. Just wait. August could be kind of scary. Site plans, the Taco Bell by Pacemaker is getting a facelift, so that's nice to see. Zoning verification letters are still going along. Historic Preservation had a pretty lengthy meeting last month. They went through their own facade grant review. They had, was it 6 applications, I believe? And they awarded 4 of them. Those 3 out of those 4 are also on your agenda tonight. I highlighted them in the spreadsheet so you can see what they were already awarded. The 2 that they denied, one was for a chain link fence, so obviously that's not facade work. The other was for windows that were not historically appropriate, but that is on tonight's agenda for the downtown facade, which has a different set of requirements. And a certificate of appropriateness for 628 Buchanan Street. That is the Gilman residence, that brick house on Buchanan. Like Buchanan Street literally goes around the house because it was there before the street was. It sat empty for over a decade because of an estate dispute. There's people living in there now, and they are gung-ho on renovating it and fixing it up, which is great because it has sat in a sad condition for a while, and also we don't want to turn into what the Leith building turned into from being empty too long. Obviously, Heritage Days sucked up a lot of staff time, but even though it rained a little bit in the morning, I think it went off very well. Friday night was great. Sunday, I think that's the largest crowd I've seen for the parade in years. Good band Saturday night. Paint on State still got to have stuff. We had 47 cars for the car show, which I was happy with. Because, you know, some of those antique cars don't even have windshield wipers. So for bad weather, to have 47 of them come out, I thought was impressive. And that is really, the biggest thing was the grants and Heritage Days, was the big stuff for June.
Thank you, Gina. Item B then, 4B. We have a motion, could we have a motion for the appointment of David Larson to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Committee? Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderman Prather. Any comment, question, any concern? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed. And then also we have C, 4C, the appointment of Claudia Cola to the Belvedere Historic Preservation Commission as well. Do we have a motion to that effect? Motion by Alderman Porter, second by Alderman McGee. Any questions, concerns, comments regarding this appointment? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Just want to say I still do have one opening on Plan Commission and one opening on Historic Preservation after these appointments. So I'm still reaching out, still trying to advertise, but if anyone knows anyone interested, please have them contact me.
Okay. Thank you. And then item D, the Downtown Facade Improvement Grant Program. Gina, you want to comment a little more on that?
Okay, so there is a spreadsheet in front of you. Tried to briefly summarize all the requests so it wasn't so inundating with information. A total of $53,839 was requested. There's only $19,290 to give out, so some tough decisions had to be made. I'll start with the two toughest ones. Staff recommended and Historic Preservation backed up not awarding a grant to 501 South State Street for windows and paint work. They did not say what windows were being replaced and with what styles of windows. I did call them and leave messages asking for additional information so that I could complete their application, and I never heard back from them. And then for 113 West Locust Street, which was new siding, although, you know, it's a great project. It's an older house. I believe it was actually one of the original boarding houses in Belvedere. It is not on State Street. It's not going to visibly have the impact that these other projects are going to have, or the safety impact that the other projects are going to have. So again, not that it's not a good project, but when there's 3 times as much being asked than what we have, I kind of went with what had safety and what had the biggest visual impact for the community. So that was those two. And then I'll briefly go through the other ones. So 106 South State Street, that is SS Subs, wanted to do a metal roof. 320 North State Street, that is where Slots and Fortune Gaming is. If you look at the wall that faces the river, there is an original door opening in the brick that is now covered with very dilapidated weathered plywood. He wants to put a door in, so visually that's gonna look a lot nicer than plywood. And then he's gonna put a gate, a wrought iron gate that kind of matches the railings on the deck. So that way, the tenants can open up the door and not have to worry about falling out into the river, because it'll still be gated off from the waist down for safety. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's 101 North State Street. 320 North State Street is the library. Also, so the doors that faced State Street, just to restain them, repair them, bring them back to their grandeur. The library has also applied for National Registry status and hopes to be able to take advantage of some federal financial incentives in the future for some of their larger projects. So we'll see how that goes. 112, 128, so that is the strip mall with Salvation Army and Planet Fitness. This is the second time they've applied for this grant. The first time they did not receive it. They want to redo all the walkways around the strip mall. Again, visual impact, not there, but they're making the walkways ADA compliant. So the safety impact is pretty significant. That's a pretty busy strip mall, so. 124 North State Street is Celia's Dance Studio. Not all of the windows are even visible. Some of them have half walls blocking them and stuff, which is one of the reasons why staff recommended a lower amount. Because if she's replacing all the windows, some of them aren't even visible. So again, that impact isn't as great. 203 Logan Avenue is the funeral home. Wheelchair lift for ADA compliance and some exterior painting. For those that have noticed in the last couple of years, Ms. Johnson has spent a lot of her own money upgrading that funeral home. New windows, new siding, new porch entry, new landscaping, just a lot. So this is kind of the last of her checklist of projects. 124 Buchanan Street is Jack Rose, so replacing the windows upstairs. 215 to 217 North State Street is the Board of Realtors. That's the one that Historic Preservation denied because obviously they have different guidelines to go off of, and that was for windows. 426 South State Street. That is for La Costa Bora restaurant. On the Buchanan Street side, they just have like an ugly metal service door. That door gets used more than their front door does, especially during strolls, people parking on Buchanan Street, people enjoying the outdoor cafe. So they want to install a glass door so that staff can monitor the outside better. It looks more inviting, and if you look at the brickwork, you can tell by the angle of the bricks there's a transom window up there. She wants to put the transom window back in as well. Historic Preservation did grant money to that. So this would just kind of be doubling up on that, which is another reason why it's a slightly lower amount. 409 South State Street is Mocha Haiti. Obviously the paint is just chipping right off that brick, so they are going to power wash the brick, seal it, tuck point it, paint it. Also, when they put the signage up, they never installed the correct light fixtures at the time, which is why the lights don't do anything at night. So they're gonna redo the signage on the canopy, take it off the wall, put in more appropriate lighting that will work. And they are doing most of the labor themselves, which is why their cost is so low. 410 South State Street is EJB Photography, which is right behind City Hall. Fixing the stucco that is cracking and falling off in the walkway. Tuck pointing, recaulking the windows because they're leaking pretty badly. Again, Historic Preservation granted money to that one, granted money to El Mocha Haiti. And 520 Pearl Street is Pearl Place Apartments, and they are looking to fix some more of the damaged front steps where the concrete is crumbling. Historic Preservation gave them $1,000 for some of that work in 2016. They requested this grant. They requested money again in 2019 that they didn't receive, and now they are requesting this grant. So that is the quick summary of all the applications. There's two ways to look at money. One is to try to spread it out to as many projects as possible. And hope that even though it's not the full amount, that it's still enough that the applicants will move forward with the project. The other way to look at it is to pick a few of your top priority and give them the full amount and tell the other ones, we're sorry, apply next year. So staff always goes with spreading the money out just because the math is already done then. That's usually the biggest discussion is, if we give 100 here and we take 200 away from there. So I kind of do that just so the math is already laid out. Historic Preservation recommended to stay with staff's recommendation. Obviously, City Council can do that, or they can pick their priority. If you want my opinion on priorities or biggest impacts, I'd be happy to give them to you.
Thank you. So we have the funds, total funds of $19,290. And it was laid out to provide some financial relief to 12 out of the 14 projects that Gina had identified. Do we have a motion to that effect? Motion by Alderman Fleury, second by Alderman McGee. And discussion. Alderwoman Freeman.
Thank you. Gina, when I was looking through these, the biggest one I had a problem with was the library, because they have their own tax levy, they are their own taxing body. I get that they are a historical building, but I mean, they get tax money from, and I don't think that taking money from downtown businesses and giving it to a taxing body, really, you know, can you explain your thinking on that?
Yes, and that was actually discussed at Historic Preservation as well, that they are a taxing body, that they're already kind of funded by the same pool of money. That was raised as a potential concern. That's one of the reasons why they did not get the full amount that they're requesting. So all the ones that got lower amounts, there's reasoning behind. In addition to, there's not enough money, there's reasoning behind as well, and that was one of the reasons behind it, was that since it was a taxing body, to not give them that full amount. But yes, fully anticipated that being a concern raised, and it's really, if you want to say, because they're a taxing body and this should go for the businesses, I can totally see that logic of thinking. Again, I wanted to have all the math in there in case it was give everyone something, that way the math is already done. But I understand the concern behind that one.
Continue, Alderwoman Freeman.
Thank you. The other one, yeah, with the library, I called them today and I asked them about the entrance, which hasn't been used in years and years and years and years. Actually, ever since they got the one on the side, they haven't used the State Street doors. And, you know, I asked why, and it was, well, you know, it's a maintenance thing, but when I looked at what they're doing, it's basically just stripping and restaining, so it's, I'm not sure that even doing that is going to make them functional and be able to be used anyway.
I know the end goal is to have it usable. This is more for the aesthetics, but yeah, I don't know if this would make it that fully functional, because they would have to move some stuff around in the inside as well. I know that is one of the end goals, but yeah, that's not going to be the immediate result of this project.
And so then the other one that I questioned in my mind was Pearl Place, just because I don't consider them actually downtown, and I know that they're also in a historic building, so like these two places, the library being their own taxing body, like makes me automatically cross them off. But the Pearl Place, you know, I think that they should maybe get their funding from Historic Society entities.
Yep, so they did not apply for a historic preservations grant this year. Like I said, they did get it one year, they didn't get the next year because when historic preservation had, I think, $12,000 requested and just under 4,000 to give out. So if there's repeat requests, they get bottom priority, which is why they didn't receive the money the second time around they requested. And I don't know if that just turned them off from requesting again. But yes, it is a historic building. I know they've used federal tax credits for a lot of the interior renovations to help offset those costs. Yes, and this doesn't make a significant visual impact. I was looking at it more as the safety. Those steps are very dangerous, and it's obviously an age-restricted housing, which makes it more. But you are correct. Visually, there is little impact that creates.
I'm not sure that people actually go in and out that front door that we use for junior high anymore. Anyway,
I know that one of the reasons why it's not used is because of the condition of the steps, that they blocked it off so that people wouldn't be on the steps. I also know that they recently have a brand-new owner as of, I want to say, a couple months ago. And they're taking inventory of all the stuff that they want to start fixing on the building, which is nice to hear.
Okay, thank you, that's all I had, Mayor.
Any other questions? Alderman Porter.
Thank you. I would question the SS subs. Is this roofing going to make any difference in the appearance of the building? Are they going to like put a peaked roof on it or something?
Not really make an appearance, the painting will. The roofing is more for the stability of the building. The worse a roof gets, then the worse the building's gonna get. And if you have a leaking roof, then, especially with a restaurant, a leaking roof is gonna cause issues in the kitchen, possible condemnation from the health department, stuff like that. So that is not so much an aesthetic thing, but the ability for that business to continue operating issue is how I viewed it. But the painting is what's gonna make the biggest impact visually.
Alderman Porter.
Well, one other thing, I do agree with Alderman Freeman on the library. I just don't think that that should be in here on that one because they are their own taxi body and they do have their own budget. And also, it's my understanding that they did take and use that 18,000 for, that they said they were not going to use for a raise for the director, but they ended up using it for that. And I think maybe they should take care of their own construction on the doors myself.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? It's up to the Alderman Burden.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a quick question for Gina, or whoever can answer it. Is there a bid requirement number, or do they just have to get one bid?
So the application says 2 bids, but I want to say about half these applicants called and said, I cannot get a second bid. Most of the contractors coming out were telling them, I won't give you a bid unless you sign a contract for me to get the job. They weren't just giving out bids. And if it was just 1 or 2, I'd say try harder, but it was a significant amount on the list that was calling, which is why almost all these came in. They were due Friday. The majority of them came in Wednesday and Thursday because people were waiting till the last minute and they just were not being able to get that second bid. I don't know if it was because of COVID, because of lack of materials, but more than once I heard they won't give me a bid unless I sign a contract for them to do the work, and no one needs to be locked into that if they're just looking for bids. So I did excuse them if they could not come up with that second one after hearing that numerous times.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Alderwoman Freeman?
So how would we go about making this motion to amend it to exclude the library portion?
Well, as you know, this is just the first shot at it. So you've identified some of the concerns. At the council meeting next Monday, you can do amendments to that effect and amend it then and vote on it in its final form.
Because then that money could be reallocated to larger amounts for other ones on here.
Yeah, it could, and if you wanted to, if the alderman and alderwomen had ideas about how that ought to be done, you can contact Gina, and then in the form of an amendment next week at the second reading. Yeah.
Yep, I have library, Pearl Place, and SS subs is questionable. So yeah, if anyone has any other ones or projects that you wanted to see more, then yeah, I can reconfigure the math and have that out for you guys.
Is that satisfactory? You want to take it up and try and have the funds allocated where they should be by next Monday? Okay. So we have then a motion and a second to have the city council allocate $19,290 for the downtown facade improvement grant program. This gives financial relief to the motion says to 12 of the 14 projects is how the motion is made. However, that can certainly be changed. So, any other questions? Any concerns or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you. And under item 5 other, Belvedere Police Department Chief.
Mr. Mayor, before I present the motion request, would it be okay if I made a brief comment?
Absolutely.
On behalf of the Belvedere Police Department, I would just like to thank Gary and Linda Neese for their many years of support for the Belvedere Police Department and their thousands of dollars worth of donations over the years. It's been brought to my attention that because of their generosity, it has spurred other donors to support the city through donations as well. So for that, I just wanted to thank them for this donation.
And Chief, before I'm going to interrupt you because I did skip Kip Countryman with the building department, so I'm going to go back. Kip, sorry about that.
Thank you, Mayor. It was all right. So for the month of June, we did 152 permits, 16 were commercial, 136 were residential, 1 single-family home, some updates, the Cajun Smokehouse, the funeral home in Bershan are all under mechanical projects right now. We have a new development at 6853 Indy Drive for a trucking company. Gina mentioned the Taco Bell. I hope it's not going to be called this, but the family video GoPuff. That's a supermarket, grocery store, and then 1805 Industrial Court is Best Air filters. I don't know if anybody's familiar with them.
Mm-hmm.
Property maintenance side, we have 87 cases currently, and 14 were closed in June. And I'll entertain any questions.
Alderman Snow.
So, because I have numerous people asking, so the Cajun place is where the Happy Walk used to be. So it is a Cajun restaurant, right? Because supposedly social media apparently has all kinds of places going in there. So.
To my knowledge, correct. Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Countryman? Alderwoman Freeman?
So Kip, have we heard anything from Habitat, from Humanity about doing anything over on that street we just donated to them? What street was that, Dan? Do you remember? Madison. Are they getting ready to break ground on that?
The foundation's in, and it's backfilled. I don't know when lumber's coming, but yeah, they're moving along.
Okay, is that it for building department? Thank you, Kip. All right, Chief, before I interrupted you, you get back at item A, 5.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you would turn to the memo in your packets, the Belvedere Police Department is in receipt of a donation of $1,500 from Gordon and Linda Neese. Mr. and Mrs. Neese have made annual donations to the police department for many years, which have provided funding for needed equipment and supplies for the department. I'm requesting approval from City Council to accept this donation for use with renovation of the Patrol Less Lethal Room. For those who weren't on the council at the time over the last couple years, the police department had identified a need due to additional equipment that we've been required to accumulate over the years, ballistic shields, tasers, and associated equipment. Now we have crowd control, riot control equipment as well. All of these pieces of equipment we needed additional room for. So the council had approved a mix of funding between impact fees and donations to renovate the Patrol Less Lethal Room. We are requesting that we are approved for this donation to finish that room with additional shelving and organizational type equipment. So having said that, I would request a motion to accept a donation of $1,500, check number 601-888-216 from Gordon and Linda Neese for expenses with the renovation of the Patrol Less Lethal Room.
Okay. We have a motion to that effect by Alderman Fleury, and a second by Alderman Porter. Any other discussion, comments, questions? Hearing none, please, Chief, convey our thanks to the nieces. It's very nice of them, and I know they've done this for a long time, so city appreciates it, and the council as well. Thank you. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passed. And item B.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If you would turn to the memo in your packet, the Belvedere Police Department is in receipt of a cash donation of $20 from Harry Smith on behalf of the United States Deputy Sheriff's Association. This donation was given with gratitude and admiration for the brave and vital service provided by law enforcement officers. I would request a motion to accept a cash donation of $20 from Harry Smith on behalf of the United States Deputy Sheriff's Association.
Okay. Motion by Alderman Snow, second by Alderwoman Mulhall. And again, Chief, thank Mr. Smith on behalf of the city and the city council. Appreciate it. So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. And do we have a motion to adjourn? That's all we have. Motion by Alderwoman Frank, second by Alderman Porter. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let the record show we are out of business at 7 o'clock. Thank you.